Welcome back. You're watching The Fix with me, Karima Brown. I'm in conversation with authors Wayne Duvenage and Nishan Bolton from the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation. Now, Wayne, the big issue, of course, isn't just about Jacob Zuma walking out. It's about the fact that many people associated with him have also tried to diss the Commission and show it contempt. Are you concerned that people like Musibenzi Zwane and others will essentially show the middle finger to the Commission in the way that Jacob Zuma has?
Yes, this is very important that the Zondo Commission deals with this matter concisely. They cannot allow Jacob Zuma to walk out without any repercussions, because that will just set the precedent for others to just say, well, we don't have to arrive, we don't have to do anything. They're breaking the law, and we believe they should be interdicted and held in contempt and subpoenaed. And if they don't, then they must spend jail time. Because what happens is the information that comes out of these hearings is very important for the rule of law to flow later on. And the Zondo has to make recommendations. He's going to only have one side, and even in the absence of the individuals who refuse to be there, I think they must continue, have the evidence leaders put these issues to them and to the judge, to Zondo, and that must be handed over. If they behave in the same way in a court of law, the judge will have one side of the story to rule on, and that's not going to be good for them. So I think they're just digging their own hole, but there's a process to be followed here, and I think Judge Zondo needs to throw the book at them.
Now, Nishan, there is also the fact that people need to be reminded that the reason why we need Jacob Zuma's account is because over 30 witnesses have implicated him in state capture, from outsourcing his responsibility to cabinet appointments to abusing his executive office to decide who should be on the boards of various state-owned companies. And these are, of course, very real issues in law in South Africa that Jacob Zuma needs to account for. If you look at the origin of this, it all comes from the Public Protector's report, the former Public Protector. And she was on the show arguing for some kind of amnesty for lower-level individuals involved in the state capture project. I've never heard the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation on this question. Is the organization in favor of former Public Protector Advocate Thuli Madonsela's proposal, or do you think that it will in fact be a perversion of the necessity for accountability and for the culture of impunity to stop?
Well, firstly, I don't think our law allows for amnesty. You need to go through a legal process, and at the end of that process, if found guilty, there's a sentence that would have to be pronounced. And if that sentence then includes a kind of amnesty component to it, that would be fine. But I think blanket amnesty is not a good idea at this point in time. It weakens the kind of public stance against corruption. It would weaken the now reinvigorated law enforcement's intensity to pursue issues of corruption. And I think it makes a mockery of everybody else who have blown the whistle thus far and have suffered huge consequences for it. And I don't understand what low level means and where one draws the line in terms of who's low level and who's high level, and whether it's based on the amount of money stolen or the amount of damage done. So I think there's lots more clarity that hopefully Thuli Madonsela will provide, or others who are pursuing that kind of argument. I think the timing is slightly misplaced. We need to get people prosecuted, and thereafter we can deal with issues of amnesty for whoever might well be deserving of that.
Okay, Wayne, one of the issues that people are putting forward is the fact that Jacob Zuma can well petition other courts and other legal fora to try and just delay the work of the Commission. And of course, this is consistent with how he's, gone about trying to avoid having to account in a court of law in a legally constituted judicial commission of inquiry. The Commission's time runs out in December. It has a time limit. It needs to wrap up its work. Many people argue that Jacob Zuma tried to intimidate the Deputy Chief Justice with the kinds of allegations that he put forward, and that this is an attempt to essentially intimidate the process. Do you think that Deputy Chief Justice Zondo is intimidated? Do you think that come tomorrow he will rule in such a way that kind of allows Jacob Zuma to escape the scrutiny of the Zondo Commission?
No, I don't think he will. I think he's been very accommodating, but he is now using his powers. And he knows, we believe he knows that, that he cannot let Jacob Zuma off the hook. We also believe that there's sufficient grounds with COVID-19, with the delays there, and this type of behavior by Jacob Zuma for the commission to ask for an extension, because there have been delays. We cannot allow Jacob Zuma to escape the nets just because we've run out of time. It's very important that he does come and answer the questions. So we believe that he's going to put his foot down this week.
Nishan, the organizations that have come out and said the Deputy Chief Justice need to make it clear to former President Zuma that he is meant to account, that needs to continue. But others have also suggested that Jacob Zuma is also trying to provoke the Deputy Chief Justice to act so that, passions are inflamed and tempers rise, and that's the kind of atmosphere, the loaded political environment that Jacob Zuma best thrives in. How do you expect Deputy Chief Justice to rule on this matter? Because he said he was going to reflect, and we know that he's quite a thorough person. He takes his time. I sometimes get irritated with the amount of patience that he shows to some of the individuals at the Commission. Do you think he's going to sidestep this trap that some people argue that that Zuma has set for him, or do you think he's going to kind of plod on in this methodical way and balance the interests of public accountability and manage in an elegant way to calm temperatures?
I said to another journalist, I wouldn't want to be in the Deputy Chief Justice's shoes at this point in time. Because on the one hand, he has to be showing to be upholding the rule of law, and as Wayne says, throwing the book at the former president. On the other hand, he has to weigh up that the Commission has a time period in which it must finish by the end of March, and by which it must make a set of recommendations. And I think the one thing that he will weigh up is, even if the former president comes and refuses to answer any questions, what value would that be? And bearing in mind that the people coming and giving testimony at the Commission is only one part of the work of the Commission. Its army of investigators would have been doing a range of background work, a series of investigations, and that is what will be contained in the final report that will come out with a set of recommendations. So even if he compels Zuma to come and Zuma doesn't answer the kinds of questions based on him taking the position that Dudu Myeni and others have taken, the Commission can still come to conclusions based on the evidence of work that it has uncovered, which I think, given the kinds of way in which the legal team has been probing people there, they certainly have done their work. And I think that with or without him, the Commission would probably be able to conclude its work in time.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is the point that Nishan just made about the fact that the Commission has a huge number of actual investigators led by Mr. Dutton, who, of course, are verifying what people are saying. So it's not as if you can just come there, speak, and there's no consequence, or nobody's actually going to double-check. So let's, for example, take one of the issues where Zola Tsotsi, the former, I think, ESCOM board chair, said that he was called to Jacob Zuma's house in KwaZulu-Natal State House and instructed in the presence of Dudu Myeni to sack certain executives at ESCOM. Now, if an investigator working at the Zondo Commission is to verify who is speaking the truth. Now, Dudumyeni has said she doesn't want to speak because she doesn't want to incriminate herself. Presumably, Zuma is also going to say the same or not appear at all. How, in that instance, will Mr. Dutton determine who spoke the truth and what actually happened?
Well, it's this whole issue of reasonableness, and if the investigator sees that there's enough proof provided by the person giving the evidence, records of travel, flights, cell phone or email coverage, whatever it is, if there's sufficient there, and then obviously the appointments and the sackings that took place shortly afterwards.
Yes.
If all of that paints the picture a lot clearer and nobody's there to refute that, well, then the evidence leader and the investigators must make a decision and say, well, this is it. I go on this evidence that I've got before me.
Absolutely. Nishan, the reason why I'm asking such practical questions is I was struck when Jacob Zuma questioned the Deputy Chief Justice about the nature of the relationship. I was struck and remembered that when President Zuma complained about Thuli Madonsela, he said that she was unfair, she didn't give him a chance. And then, of course, out popped a tape, a 3-hour tape of him being asked questions in the presence of his lawyer coughing, trying to coach him, and him literally being caught out in a lie, okay? So this is a president that has lied before about whether he was being treated fairly or not by the public protector. And the reason why I want to go to the question that just because he's not speaking doesn't mean that we can't test the veracity of what people are alleging about his actions, isn't it?
No, absolutely. And bear in mind, it is his signature on the proclamation that established the commission. There is sufficient visual evidence of him welcoming the appointment of Deputy Chief Justice Zondo. And as the Deputy Chief Justice pointed out, he did not raise his appointment at any time up until now, not even with the Chief Justice or with anybody else. And to now suddenly bring out issues which he think would have a bearing on the case, but in reality don't, it is part of the kind of false narrative that we've become accustomed to. But I think that there is sufficient visual or audio material on a range of statements that he would now be making and which exist to contradict everything that he is saying.
All right, gentlemen, we've run out of time. Nishan Bolton, Wayne Duvenage, thank you so very much. Well, you've had your fix for the week. Join me again next Sunday. Thank you so much for watching.